Most people don't realize they are trapped, because the trap feels normal. They wake up every morning to an alarm, rush through traffic, work all day, come home exhausted, and tell themselves this is just how life works. The paycheck arrives, the bills get paid, and the cycle repeats. No crisis, no urgency, just slow, silent surrender. Years pass, potential fades, and dreams shrink to fit a schedule. The tragedy is not that people work hard. It's that they work hard at something that will never make them free. They were promised security, but what they received was dependency. They were told to be patient, but patience without progress becomes regret. This is not a speech about quitting your job. It's a wake-up call about quitting the mindset that keeps you small. Because the 9-to-5 doesn't steal your money first. It steals your thinking. And once your thinking is trapped, your future follows. Most people wake up every morning believing they are secure, because a paycheck is coming at the end of the week or the month. That belief feels comforting, but comfort is not the same thing as safety. The illusion begins when income becomes predictable. When money arrives regularly, the mind relaxes and stops questioning the source. A job starts to feel permanent, even though nothing in life truly is. Companies change direction, markets collapse, technology replaces roles, and decisions are made in boardrooms that employees will never enter. Yet most people build their entire financial life around the assumption that tomorrow will look exactly like today. What people often call security is actually dependence. When one paycheck pays the rent, covers the food, and supports the family, everything rests on a single fragile pillar. If that pillar cracks, the whole structure shakes. True security would mean having the ability to adapt, to produce value in multiple ways, and to survive change without panic. But the 9-to-5 system trains people to specialize narrowly and rely completely on an employer. Over time, they lose confidence in their own ability to create income outside of that system. The danger grows quietly. With every year of routine, skills stagnate. Learning slows down because the job no longer demands growth, only repetition. People become very good at one task in one environment, but weak everywhere else. That is not strength, that is exposure. When change comes, and it always does, those who relied on a single role find themselves unprepared. Security that disappears the moment conditions change was never real security to begin with. Another part of the illusion is benefits. Health insurance, paid leave, and retirement plans create a feeling of being taken care of. But these are not gifts. They are temporary arrangements tied to continued employment. The moment the job ends, the protection ends. Many people only realize this after years of loyalty, when they discover that dedication does not equal immunity. The system was never designed to protect individuals. It was designed to function efficiently. Real security is internal, not external. It comes from what you know, what you can do, and how quickly you can learn again. Someone with strong skills, discipline, and a growth mindset can lose a job and recover. Someone with none of those but a secure position is only safe as long as nothing changes. And nothing staying the same is the one thing life never promises. The illusion of security also encourages obedience over ownership. People avoid questioning, experimenting, or taking initiative because they fear rocking the boat. They trade long-term independence for short-term stability. Over time, this choice shapes identity. People stop seeing themselves as creators and start seeing themselves as employees first. That mindset limits what they attempt and what they believe is possible. Jim Rohn often reminded us that profits are better than wages, and that self-development creates more opportunity than job security ever could. The paycheck may feel safe, but it doesn't grow unless someone else decides it should. Your value, on the other hand, grows the moment you invest in yourself. Security doesn't come from being needed by one employer. It comes from being valuable in many places. When you depend on one source of income, you are always one decision away from crisis. When you depend on your ability to learn, adapt, and contribute, you are free. The tragedy is that most people never question the illusion until it breaks. By then, rebuilding is harder. The wiser approach is to see the truth early. Security is not something you are given. It is something you build. From the moment people enter the workforce, they are taught that time is money. Show up on time, stay until the clock says you can leave, and in exchange you receive a fixed amount of income. At first, this arrangement seems fair. Work harder, get paid. Work longer, earn more. But hidden inside this system is a limitation that most people never notice until years have passed. When your income is tied directly to the hours you work, Your earning potential is permanently capped. No matter how disciplined you are, you cannot create more hours in a day. This is the quiet prison of trading time for money. Every raise, every promotion, and every bonus still lives inside the same boundary. You may earn slightly more per hour, but you are still selling the same product, your time. And once that time is gone, it is gone forever. You can recover lost money, but you can never recover lost hours. Yet millions of people exchange the most valuable asset they have for the least scalable form of income, without ever questioning the deal. The danger is not just financial, it is psychological. When income depends on presence, people become afraid to step away. Vacations feel expensive. Illness feels risky. Freedom becomes a luxury instead of a right. Even creativity is restricted, because creativity takes space, and space requires time that is no longer yours. Slowly, life becomes organized around work instead of work serving life. Wealthy individuals understand something different. They know that leverage creates freedom. Leverage means using systems, skills, people, or capital to produce results that are not limited by personal effort. A book can be written once and sold thousands of times. A business system can function whether the owner is present or not. An investment can generate income without daily labor. These are not shortcuts, they are smarter structures. The work still exists, but it is front-loaded rather than endless. Most people never build leverage because the 9-to-5 routine drains their energy. By the time the day ends, mental strength is gone. The best hours of focus are spent making someone else's system stronger, leaving nothing left for personal growth. Over time, this creates a painful pattern. People become experts at building other people's dreams, while their own ideas remain untouched. The tragedy is not lack of opportunity, it is lack of energy directed in the right place. Another problem with time-based income is that it trains people to measure value incorrectly. Instead of asking, how valuable is the result? They ask, how long did it take? But value is not created by duration, it is created by impact. A solution that takes 10 minutes, but saves a company millions is more valuable than 10 hours of routine effort. When you understand this, your focus shifts from being busy to being useful. The moment you stop working, time-based income stops as well. Retirement then becomes a frightening concept because it requires decades of savings to replace what was never designed to continue. This is why so many people reach the later years of life with anxiety. They worked hard, but their work could not outlive them. They built income, not assets. Breaking free from this limitation does not require abandoning responsibility. It requires a shift in awareness. You begin to ask better questions. How can this effort be repeated without me? How can this skill be scaled? How can today's work produce tomorrow's income? These questions lead to better decisions and smarter use of time. Trading time for money may pay the bills, but it rarely builds wealth. It keeps people busy but not free. And freedom, not comfort, is the real measure of success. Comfort is one of the most dangerous places a person can live, not because it hurts, but because it slowly steals ambition without making a sound. At first, comfort feels like success. The bills are paid, the routine is familiar, and life seems stable. There is no immediate crisis, no urgent pressure to change. And that is exactly why growth stops. When survival is guaranteed, improvement feels optional. People tell themselves they will push harder later, learn more later, or chase bigger goals later. Later quietly becomes never. A steady paycheck creates this comfort zone. It removes the sharp edge of urgency that once fueled hunger. When money comes in regularly, the mind relaxes and starts conserving energy. Dreams that once felt exciting begin to feel risky. Why disrupt something that works? This question sounds reasonable, but it hides a dangerous assumption that what works today will always work tomorrow. Comfort convinces people that the present is permanent, even though change is inevitable. Ambition needs tension. It needs a reason to wake up early and stay up late. Without tension, desire weakens. People stop reading, stop learning, and stop challenging themselves. They repeat the same tasks, the same conversations, and the same thoughts year after year. Progress becomes routine, and routine eventually becomes stagnation. What once felt safe slowly becomes a cage, but because the bars are padded, no one notices. Comfort also lowers standards. When life is predictable, people begin to accept average results. They measure success by convenience instead of potential. Instead of asking what they are capable of, they ask what is required. This shift is subtle but powerful. It turns growth-minded individuals into maintenance-minded workers. The goal becomes keeping things as they are, not improving them. Another danger of comfort is distraction. When basic needs are met, people seek entertainment instead of development. Evenings disappear into screens. Weekends vanish into mindless activity. And the best years of mental sharpness are spent consuming instead of creating. Comfort does not just stop ambition. It redirects energy away from meaningful effort. People stay busy but not productive, relaxed but not fulfilled. Over time, comfort creates fear of discomfort. Any challenge feels threatening because it interrupts the routine. Learning new skills feels exhausting. Starting something new feels overwhelming. Risk begins to feel irresponsible, even when staying the same is the greater risk. This fear keeps people locked in place long after the environment has stopped rewarding loyalty or effort. Jim Rohn often warned that easy times create weak people, while demanding times create strong ones. Comfort removes the demand. Without demand, strength fades. This is why many people look back later in life with regret, wondering when they stopped pushing themselves. The answer is almost always the same. They became comfortable. Growth requires deliberate discomfort. It requires choosing discipline over ease, learning over leisure, and long-term vision over short-term relief. The people who build wealth and meaning are not those who avoid pressure, but those who create it on purpose. They set higher standards, tougher goals, and stricter routines because they know comfort is a poor teacher. The tragedy is not that comfort exists, but that people mistake it for success. Comfort should be a resting place, not a residence. When ambition is allowed to sleep for too long, waking it up becomes painful. The wise recognize this early. They use comfort as fuel, not as an excuse, and they keep pushing long after it would be easy to stop. Most people spend their entire working lives focused on earning income, yet very few ever stop to ask what happens when the work stops. The system teaches people how to earn and spend, but not how to own. From the first paycheck, the pattern is reinforced: get paid, pay bills, buy comforts, repeat. There is nothing wrong with earning a living, but when all effort is directed toward income and none toward ownership, long-term wealth never has a chance to form. Assets are the quiet difference between those who struggle and those who build lasting security. An asset is something that continues to produce value after the initial effort is complete. It may be a business, an investment, intellectual property, or a system that serves people repeatedly. Income, on the other hand, is often temporary. It flows only as long as labor flows. The moment effort stops, so does the money. Most employees unknowingly build someone else's assets while neglecting their own. This is one of the great ironies of modern work. People spend their best hours strengthening companies they do not own, increasing the value of systems they will never benefit from long-term. They become skilled at contributing to other people's wealth while remaining dependent on wages for their own survival. Over time, this dependence feels normal, even responsible. But responsibility without ownership leads to exhaustion, not freedom. The habit of consumption plays a major role. Without asset thinking, extra income becomes extra spending. Raises disappear into lifestyle upgrades. New comforts replace old ones, but nothing lasting is created. People confuse a higher standard of living with progress, unaware that true progress is measured by how long you can live without working. Wealth is not about how impressive your lifestyle looks. It's about how strong your position is. Another problem is patience. Assets take time to grow. They often produce little or no return in the beginning, which discourages those trained to expect immediate paychecks. The 9-to-5 mindset rewards quick compensation, not delayed reward. As a result, many people abandon asset building too early, concluding that it doesn't work, when in reality it simply hasn't matured yet. Those who understand this stay the course while others quit. Ownership also requires responsibility. When you own something, results are no longer guaranteed. There is no fixed paycheck, no promise of stability. This uncertainty scares people who have been conditioned to value predictability above all else. But predictability is often the enemy of progress. Growth lives on the other side of uncertainty, and assets are built by those willing to tolerate temporary instability for long-term independence. Jim Rohn often emphasized that profits are better than wages, because profits reward value, not just effort. Wages pay for time, profits pay for judgment, creativity, and leadership. When you own, your decisions matter more than your hours. This shift changes how you think. You begin to ask how something can last, how it can grow, and how it can serve without constant attention. The tragedy is that many people reach the end of their working years with nothing that works for them. They worked hard, but their work never learned to work on its own. Assets are the bridge between effort and freedom. Without them, income becomes a treadmill, constant motion with no forward progress. Those who learn to build even small assets early change the entire direction of their financial future. From an early age, most people are taught to follow instructions, avoid mistakes, and stay within clearly marked boundaries. While this conditioning creates order, it also plants a deep fear of stepping outside the norm. By the time people reach adulthood, that fear has hardened into habit. They choose what feels familiar over what could be meaningful. Even when the familiar no longer serves them, they stay, because leaving feels dangerous. This is how fear quietly keeps people stuck. Fear rarely announces itself loudly. It disguises itself as logic. People say they are being realistic, responsible, or patient, when in truth they are afraid of uncertainty. They fear failing publicly, being judged, or making the wrong decision. The fear of embarrassment often outweighs the fear of regret, so they delay action, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect confidence that never arrives. Conditioning reinforces this fear. Society rewards conformity far more than courage. Those who follow the expected path are praised for being sensible, while those who question it are labeled risky or unrealistic. Over time, this social pressure shapes belief. People begin to measure success by approval instead of fulfillment. They seek permission instead of possibility. The crowd becomes a guide, even though the crowd is often lost. Another powerful force is the fear of loss. People cling to what they have, even if it is small, because losing it feels painful. A steady income, a familiar routine, or a known environment feels safer than the unknown alternative. But what they fail to see is that staying the same also carries a cost. Every year spent avoiding growth is a year of lost potential. The pain of change is immediate, but the pain of regret compounds over time. Fear also shrinks vision. When people are afraid, they stop thinking long-term. They focus on survival instead of expansion. Dreams become smaller because big dreams require bold action. This is why many people abandon their aspirations quietly. They do not fail dramatically. They simply stop trying. And stopping feels easier than risking disappointment. Jim Rohn often spoke about the dangers of letting fear make decisions. He reminded us that we must choose between two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Yet fear convinces people that discipline is unbearable, while regret seems distant and manageable. By the time regret arrives, it is heavy and permanent. Conditioning also limits learning. When people fear being wrong, they stop asking questions. They avoid new skills because being a beginner feels uncomfortable. But ignorance is far more expensive than embarrassment. Those who grow understand that looking foolish temporarily is a small price to pay for long-term capability. Fear keeps people protecting their ego instead of building their future. The saddest part is that fear often remains even when the risk is low. Many opportunities require small, manageable steps, not reckless leaps. But fear magnifies danger and minimizes reward. It whispers worst-case scenarios while ignoring best-case possibilities. As a result, people remain in situations that drain them, believing they are being safe, when they are actually being stuck. Breaking free from this pattern begins with awareness. Fear loses power when it is seen for what it is, a signal, not a command. Those who move forward despite fear discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act anyway. Conditioning can be unlearned. Beliefs can be replaced. But only those willing to challenge fear ever discover how much more life has to offer. Most people spend the majority of their lives working on their jobs, yet very few spend enough time working on themselves. They focus on tasks, deadlines, and responsibilities, believing that effort alone will eventually lead to success. But effort without growth produces only exhaustion. The real turning point in life and wealth comes when a person realizes that personal development is not optional. It is the foundation of everything else. Income rarely grows faster than the person who earns it. When skills stay the same, results stay the same. This is why many people remain stuck at the same level for years, even though they work hard. The world does not reward effort in isolation, it rewards value. And value is something that must be developed deliberately. Reading, learning, practicing, and refining abilities may not produce immediate rewards, but over time they multiply opportunity. Personal development changes the way a person thinks before it changes what they earn. It sharpens awareness, expands perspective, and raises standards. When thinking improves, decisions improve. When decisions improve, results improve. This is why two people can face the same circumstances and produce completely different outcomes. The difference is not luck. It is mindset shaped by learning and discipline. Skills are powerful because they travel with you. A job can be lost, a market can shift, and an industry can disappear, but skills remain. Communication leadership, problem solving, sales, creativity, and financial literacy open doors in every environment. The person who invests in these abilities is never trapped for long, because opportunity follows competence. Discipline is another critical part of personal development. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. The daily habits of reading, studying, reflecting, and improving compound quietly over time. One page a day becomes a library. One small improvement each week becomes mastery. Those who commit to small disciplines gain advantages that look like miracles to those who do not. Jim Rohn often taught that if you become more valuable, your income will automatically rise. This truth is uncomfortable for many people because it removes excuses. It places responsibility back where it belongs, on the individual. But it is also empowering. You may not control the economy, your boss, or your past, but you can control what you learn and how you grow. Personal development also builds confidence. Confidence is not arrogance. It is trust in your ability to handle challenges. The more skills you develop, the less fear controls you. Risk feels manageable because you know you can adapt. This confidence encourages action, and action creates momentum. Momentum is what turns ideas into reality. Many people search for the perfect opportunity, unaware that opportunity is attracted to prepared individuals. When you improve yourself, you begin to notice possibilities others overlook. You see solutions instead of problems. You recognize patterns, trends, and openings that were invisible before. Growth sharpens vision. The greatest mistake people make is waiting. They wait for more time, more money, or more confidence before investing in themselves. But personal development does not require permission or perfect conditions. It begins with a decision. A book, a course, a mentor, or a new skill can change the direction of a life. The return on this investment is unlimited, because once you grow, no one can take that growth away from you. The path out of limitation is not found in a new job alone, but in a new version of yourself. When you change, everything you touch begins to change as well.